A big thank you to Keller Supply for inviting PHCC of Washington to this year's Great Northwest Adventure. I'm always surprised how nice it is to get out of the office and meet up with fellow contractors and trade professionals. It's really one big family reunion in so many ways, and a few nights away from the business. And on the company dime, you can't beat that. One unique thing about this biannual show is how Keller Supply brings contractors from all over the Northwest together. We met so many contractors from surrounding states. I wish you could have been there, but stay tuned as Todd Allred, PHCC of Washington's Executive Director, and myself, Dennis the Apprentice, interview techs, apprentices, suppliers, and Keller executives. I hope you enjoy learning a little more about our great industry by listening to our next guest.
Todd Allred, welcome to Dennis the Apprentice Behind the Windshield at the PHCC booth at the Great Northwest Adventure Show by Keller Supply.
Thank you, Dennis the Apprentice.
Awesome. So we're here. This is quite a show.
It is.
It's bigger than last year.
Yeah, they say this is the biggest ever. I heard somewhere, although Scott wasn't sure, he didn't know, but I heard there was 4,500 registrants. And this is a private event. It's invite only.
Right. Okay. So they all use Keller Supply.
Yeah, these are all Keller's. All of the contractors that are here are in some way connected to a salesman, because that's how you had to. Contractor has to go through their salesman with Keller to get here.
Right.
Because it's a buying show.
What's that mean?
That means that these people are carrying around a book, and if they go to this guy right next door to us and they want to buy what he's got, what his latest and greatest or whatever, I think a lot of these people are offering specials on and discounts. Like 10 years ago, I bought a threader here.
Oh yeah.
They had Rex Wheeler set up, and I went, oh, I like that, and I got a significant discount on it. So you can make the purchase here for a discount.
We've got apprentices thinking, what's a threader? We've come a long way in 10 years.
Yeah.
It used to be we threaded pipe before we had mega press.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
Technology advancement. It's all about speed because time. We're undermanned industry.
Yeah.
So because the contractors, this is going to be a bit, I'm going to point the finger a little bit here.
Awesome.
But because contractors have not invested in making sure that they are equipping the next generation of leaders in our industry, they're not coming into the industry. They're not pricing correctly to make sure that they can afford to have an apprentice or to afford to be able to be a member of the association, which isn't much. But that's an objection people bring up, right? And so because we're not manning the industry, manufacturers are solving the problem by making it easier to install so it's quicker, so you can get the projects done faster and move on.
Right.
Does that mean that those methods are better than the older methods? Who knows? Time will tell.
Yeah, very good. So there's a lot of people out there that say, what is PHCC? What is PHCC, Todd?
I don't know. PHCC is a contractor company member association. We are a community of plumbing, heating, and cooling contractors that care about the industry, care about their businesses. And we also have the rest of the greater reach of our community is to companies like Keller Supply and other wholesalers, water mitigation companies, legal, accounting, business coaching, services to help train your techs and things like this. We have companies, it's all business to business, and it's a community. I mean, everyone gets to know each other. I know a guy who tells a story and actually got to talk to the other guy on the other end of the story that I've heard a few times from my friend. Friday I had a conversation. I said, yeah, I heard this. I've heard this story numerous times, and it was Bill Lilliness. I said, yeah, Dennis tells me this story. He tells the story regularly where you cautioned him about an employee who was going to hurt his business because he had already hurt Bill's business, right? And so he let you know because we're a community, and those kind of things go a long way.
Yes, I'd love to hear more about that. That was very cool. That was the first time I was new to the industry. It was the first time another company actually you know, did us all, helped me out. I called on a reference, and that was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look what it's done for you.
Yeah.
Somebody invested in you and reached out and bridged a gap. And now look at all the gaps you're bridging now in the industry.
Yep. You know what else he told me? He told me, buy your shop, and then have the shop have the business rent the shop from you.
Yep.
And now when I see him, he's like, aren't you glad you bought that shop? And I'm like, yes, sir. Thank you so much. So he was the one that planted the seed that, wait a second, you personally buy the property and then have the business rent it for them. Now you hear that sometimes, but for me, that was the first time I'd ever heard that before. And he did that. Now he's got an apartment building over top his shop. He built a whole apartment building. So he's taking it to the next level. So, but that's all industry helping each other out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So,
Can I tell another example of community?
absolutely.
We had a member who will be stopping by here today. Here, I have it on good word. They're here and we'll be stopping by, but they reached out and they were struggling with some things, and they reached out and I went, oh, let's arrange a meeting. I invited you.
Yep.
We go and we meet these business owners in a coffee shop, and here's these people that are, you can tell there's weight on their back, and they're feeling crushed,
Yes.
and they didn't know what to do next.
Right.
And we said, oh, well, here's a solution. Here's a solution. Here's a solution. Here's some perspectives. And we just offered, and next thing you know, they wrapped arms around. And I believe now the whole company is involved with your trade traction school, where you're working on sales and soft skills, and
Yeah.
and apparently they're very thrilled with it.
That's what I hear. It's been really fun. They show up at 6:30 Tuesday morning and 6:30 Wednesday morning, and it's wide open. Anybody can come. It's totally free through PHCC.
And it's all online.
It's all online. It's virtual. And they show up. They all have their computers and laptops or iPads, whatever they've got. Sometimes they're all together on one, but oftentimes they're on their own. But they show up at 6:30, and we cover. On Tuesday we cover sales, and then on Wednesday we cover apprenticeship stuff.
Yeah,
And they've been delightful to work with.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something else too. A cool thing. I did not know you. I would not have known you if it had not been for our community at PHCC. That's true. So we met, I don't know, 8-10 years ago or something. And then you became the president of PHCC. And so now we had more interaction.
Yeah.
And our relationship has grown, and I consider you a friend. Like if I had a problem personally, not necessarily just in business, but personally, if I had something going on, you might be one of the people I would call to say, Dennis, I need some advice.
Yeah.
But what I'm really trying to get to here is, I know you in a personal setting, but when you get into that, when you get behind that microphone at your school, your trade traction school, you go to a different place that I've learned there's another side of Dennis. When you get behind that microphone and you're doing your thing,
Yeah.
you ramp it up a notch. You're focused. You direct. It's calculated, and it's intelligent, and it's brilliant.
Awesome. Oh, thank you for that. That's interesting to hear. I don't know. I'm just doing what I do. I'm saying what I think and going for it.
You're following your passion.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I hear a lot of people say, well, what's in it for me? And, or what's the return on investment? And we're talking about things. I think it takes a level of maturity to figure out that there's a return on investment beyond just money.
And it's hard to measure the impact that you can have on somebody, because when you're talking to people about how they can be the best apprentice, that person, what they hear and what they decide to do is going to be based on multiple factors that's not tangible. You can't measure.
Yeah.
So all you can do is follow their path in their career and see how they do. That's the only way to know.
Right. Well, I think you hear, some people, you hear this thing, it takes a village or we're better together, but it's really true. And I think I'll float this premise by you and see what you think. I think a lot of plumbing companies, so the problem is a lot of plumbing companies don't want to visit with each other, and that they're scared that they're going to share secrets or lose employees or something. And there's this awkwardness with newer companies to talk to each other, to other companies. And I think it's because a lot of companies don't start the right way. Sometimes they get fired, and so they start that company, or other times they just quit and disappear, or other times they just do so much side work, but finally just take off. But they don't quit in a just way, like, and so then it's awkward to talk to their previous boss because there's some
Drama.
so some drama and there's some scar tissue there. Like I've had 3 or 4 actually leave the right way, but the first one left. He took me and my wife out to dinner with him and his wife, and he told me he appreciated everything that we'd done, and that they were going to move across the state and work for his dad for a little bit and start their own company. And he gave us several weeks notice, and I blessed him, and we've blessed each other through the years. And now he's a comrade in the industry, and we talk and share ideas, and there's no weird feelings. Versus someone that I had to let go because they did something bad, and it's hard to talk with it.
Yeah, that's different.
So I think but what people don't realize is we all want to share and help each other out. That's the point.
Yeah. I have multiple things going on in my head that you just said, and I think there is significant value in. So I've been saying this lately. When it comes to a business, especially in the trades like this, culture. You developed a culture where if a guy is moving on, he's being intentional. And see, this is what raises the value of our industry, okay? Because you created a fantastic culture. People wanted to be there. And if they're leaving, why are they leaving? They're leaving because whatever the reason is, usually it's going to be intentional.
Yes.
Rather than reactive. The guy who gets mad at something, it's probably been stuff brewing for a long time for them to make the decision to move on.
Yeah.
I think generally people want to be loyal. They want to help. People want to contribute. They want to be a part of something. And if that guy that is reactive turns around and goes and starts his own business, is he starting out with a limp, or is he starting out sprinting?
Yes.
He's starting out with a limp.
Yeah.
The guy that comes to you and says, hey, we're going to go out to dinner. Hey, I'm going to do this. Oh, man, that's fantastic. How can I help?
Yes.
It's a whole completely opposite end of the spectrum outcomes, right? So by raising the level of the culture in every business, and we start here with PHCC, so we can do it in the industry with owners can take that into their businesses.
Yeah.
And then they raise the level of the value of the culture in their business, so that when those guys that are entrepreneurs who are not going to stay no matter what, right, because they're an entrepreneur, you start them out on the right foot and you've contributed to the industry. We have another member. I saw their truck out here today. I have another member here today. I'm waiting for them to come by it. That owner of that business has a very successful business. And when we met, we met together and had coffee in early 24. And he told me how many of the plumbers that work for him are now out. They're out there and have their own businesses, and he supports them and contributes. And so they have kind of this community through that, right? And it's kind of what you're saying. So it exists, right? But, and they have a big, beautiful business.
Yeah.
And I love that you use that phrase, by the way, beautiful business.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And I just want to say this too. This is about me. At our business, before we sold, we had a very, very tight crew.
Yes, we did.
We had our guys. We had hit at one point. We had hit we had some pressure on our business, and we went and we talked to the team about it. We were open and honest, and we didn't hide anything. And the response was exactly the opposite that I expected. The response was, "We're a family, and we're going to do this together." And everybody sat up. When that one gentleman said that, everybody sat up straight. Yeah, we're going to do this. And now, so we sell, We sold in July, all right, and then all of our employees went to that business. It was a weekend or two ago. My wife was like, you know what? I miss all the guys. So we ended up we scheduled a party at a bar, and we all showed up and hadn't seen each other in quite a while. And it was just like, we just picked up right where we left off. You can't do that unless you're investing in people and creating a solid culture.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So I think that's one of the problems I see about like people scared to join or collaborate is because they started off the wrong way. If they start off the right way, then there's no friction between companies. So also, maybe we'll just say this, that if you started the wrong way, you can go make it right.
You can.
You can say, hey, I'm sorry, I was upset, this happened. And no matter whatever it is, almost always, I have this analogy that you see a brick wall, there's hardly ever mortar between the bricks. It's not, all you got to do is go say, hey, and take a brick down. And you both just take the bricks down and take the wall down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of people think they're not talking to their ex-boss because they think their ex-boss is mad, but the ex-boss has already moved on. And it just takes a little, I'm sorry, and let's be friends. It doesn't take much to take that wall down.
It doesn't.
And then you can move on and collaborate together.
As a general rule, I believe that most people, when there's been conflict, are open to you. If you say to somebody, hey man, I apologize, can you forgive me? People do.
Yes.
And if they don't, you learned everything you needed to know about that person.
Yeah. Well, it's exhausting to live with that, isn't it?
Yeah, it takes more energy to carry that than to forgive.
Yeah, just let it go. So if you're out there and you're new to business or you've been out for a few years and you haven't made things right or cleaned things up with your exit, I really encourage you to do that, to go back to if you broke something off the wrong way, go fix it. I tell my daughters that in dating, like always end, even if it goes bad, figure out how to collaborate and come together and let's be friends. Because you never know when you're going to run into them again in life, right?
Yes.
It happens all the time.
It does. I've experienced that numerous times.
So end your relationship well, and if you don't, it's not too late to fix it.
You know, I'm backing up just a little bit for a second and tell you too that I started off on the wrong foot.
Did you?
I did. I started my business because I was dismayed. I was angry at my employer. It was justified. But that's the reason I went and started a business, is because I was angry. And then I was on an online forum one day, and the question was, hey, you know, I'm doing this. You know, how do you do this? And it was some task in plumbing. I don't remember. And I just got on there and I typed, why would I tell you my secrets? Like that's my edge in the market, is how I know how to do that. Why would I tell you? And there was a man that ran the forum, created the forum. I didn't know the man. His name is Art Favinger.
Okay.
He is former owner of Favinger Plumbing up in Bellingham.
Yeah.
But he is now a member because he's a member of our association because he's selling some other products now.
Okay.
And he came on that forum and he didn't know me. He didn't even know I was in the state. And he went on there and he said, but Todd, that's how we help the industry.
Yeah.
And I went, duh. I mean, it's like, I already knew that. I knew that. But when I had someone admonish me and say that, and that was a course correction, and I believe that was that moment that led me all the way around to being in the position I'm in now.
Awesome. You're the executive director.
The executive director. I'm now working on the industry, not in it. Full time.
That was awesome.
I've had some, I love it. I love helping people.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. Even who sold our business, but it's so fun to talk to people. And I've talked to several people that are in different stages of their career in our business and helping them with the next step, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because when people trust you,
yeah,
where they're at that moment, they're sharing with you.
Right.
And they're sharing, and you can go, I know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I know the answer for that. If they aren't always open to hear it, so you have to wait.
If you're interested. But it's kind of like when a student is ready and willing, the teacher will appear, right? Like in this room, all the answers are here. I guarantee you all the answers are here.
Yeah, they are.
But you got to be ready and willing. What I found when I went to trade shows is every year I had a new problem. Like I was ready for something else, right? I was ready And so everything was always came at me in a different way every year. So
And then you used that as direction for what you would do next then.
yeah. Kimberly and I always went to a show we'd always talk about where we're at. We were very clear on where we were at and what we needed to do next. And then open to that, open to those answers. And then oftentimes we'd split up. So we'd see lots of people and see people. Then we'd come together and talk about it.
Yeah.
And then if one of us discovered something we liked, we'd go both and investigate.
So you both were out doing recon.
100%. And we knew what our problem was to go for it. So very cool. Well, Todd, thank you for being on. Thank you for being the executive director of PHCC. You're doing amazing things. PHCC is so much part of it here.
Well, Dennis, it wouldn't be what it is without you. You're involved too. You're director of membership and education, and you are integral to the association now too. So it takes all of us. It's a community. Like you said earlier in this podcast, it takes a village.
Yeah.
You're part of this village. And Terrence sitting in front of us is part of this village.
Yeah.
Our board of directors is part of that village.
Yes.
If we don't have other people helping out and doing it together, what's the point?
Yep. So join us.
Yes.
It's better together. The more of us, the merrier. The more answers are available to everybody. And the faster we get to our destination.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, that's a wrap. I hope you learned a bit more about all the ways our great industry works together for the betterment of all our communities. I hope you're inspired to get more involved and connected. Look into joining your state's PHCC association, and for sure, look to Keller Supply for all your plumbing and heating needs. We hope to see you back here in 2027.